Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Shamice LaCiara, and today I'm going to be talking about my pregnancy. When I say my pregnancy, I just mean that I'm going to be talking about my experience of being pregnant. I've already had my son. He's 1 year old now, actually going on 14 months. I had him last year in June, so yeah, I'm going to jump right into this. So first of all, I blogged about my breastfeeding journey recently, actually like 2 days ago. But I'm gonna put that blog post, I'm gonna put that link in the description box so you all can read that, because I'm kind of doing like a mommy series. I'm just gonna be talking about my first year of being a stay-at-home mom. I'm gonna be talking about my breastfeeding journey. I'm gonna be talking about my birth journey as well as my pregnancy, and that's what I'm doing today. So this shouldn't be like a long video, because I'm just gonna be kind of just talking about my experience of being pregnant. So the first thing I want to talk about is first of all, I say this a lot because those that know me personally and those that have read my book, you know why I say this, but I didn't even know if I was going to get married or even like have children or start a family. I didn't know. I wasn't sure about that. Um, but I met my husband, started talking, we got engaged, we got married, and we had a child. Um, so we weren't necessarily, I'm going to put it like this. We weren't intentionally trying to have a child, but at the time, I had actually just got off birth control, and I was taking birth control for a medical reason. It wasn't like I was, trying not to get pregnant, if that makes sense. But I was taking it for a medical reason, and I didn't really need to take it anymore. And I don't really like birth control. Like, if I don't have to take it, then why am I taking it? Because I feel like you're putting like hormones into your body, and I just kind of feel like it's man-made. So I didn't want. I'm just very careful about, like, as far as like when it comes to medication and stuff, what I put into my body, or at least I'm learning. But that was one thing that I did not want to continue to take, especially if I didn't need to take it for that specific medical reason. So I got off of control, and me and my husband, we were just kind of like, well, whatever happens, happens. So when I say we weren't intentionally planning, it was like I guess we were planning for a baby, but it wasn't like intentional. It was just, we just kind of like let it happen. So I hope that makes sense. But so once I got off birth control, um, I didn't get pregnant right away, obviously. But it didn't take that long. I knew when I was pregnant because I just felt different. Um, and for all the women that's watching, you can attest to this, but we know when our cycle is about to come on. So when my cycle is about to come on, I usually get like gassy. That might be TMI, but women know. I get gassy, a little bit gassy, and I'm a little bit crampy too. So I noticed that this time around when my cycle was supposed to come on, I was crampy, but it was different type of cramps. So I was like, oh my God, I believe I'm pregnant. So I did take the test, and the funny thing was, so I found out I was pregnant like right before the week before homecoming, I believe it was, and this was in 2018. I found out that I was pregnant the week before homecoming, and the week before FAMU homecoming, to be specific. The week before FAMU homecoming, I had actually went to my cousin's wedding, and everybody was just kind of like, "Girl, are you pregnant?" And I'm just like, "No," because at that time I hadn't taken the test. So I'm just like, y'all, this is just my stomach. Like, I love to eat, and I'm gaining weight. So, and then they were like, "Girl, you look like." I had several of my family members come up to me and was just like, "Are you pregnant? Girl, you look pregnant." And one family member was even like, "Okay, if you're not pregnant, drink this alcohol then." But yeah, it was funny because I really didn't know that I was pregnant at the time. I didn't really believe I was pregnant. Um, I don't know if I had took a test before then and it was negative, but yeah, at the time I didn't really know that I was pregnant. So the week later, I found out I was pregnant like the week of FAMU homecoming. So um, by that time I was like 4 or 5 weeks. So it was very interesting that everybody else was like, I mean, I was only like about 4 weeks, and everybody was like, "You look pregnant." So that was very interesting. And I did drink alcohol that night too. So, but but yeah. So I did take the test. When I took, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back. When I did take the test, um, you know, how the lines come up, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." I really didn't know how to respond, like honestly. But the way that I surprised my husband is I didn't like wait and tell him, but I asked him to come. I asked him like I was like, "Babe, come fix the toilet because it's messed up." Because he always fixes it for me when it gets stopped up or something. So he comes in there and he was like, "All right, I'll be there in a minute." He comes in there, and then I have like the test on top of the lid, like on the toilet lid. You know how you put the lid down? I put it down on that. And then he was just kind of like, and he was just like, "What is this like?" And then he was like, and he was reading lines. He was like, "What does this mean?" I'm like, "That mean I'm pregnant." And so we had our little moment or whatnot. And from there, it was just like, we're having a baby. So I didn't make an announcement because, well, first of all, things happen when you're pregnant. I didn't want to make an announcement, and God forbid, I'm not even gonna say it, but God forbid something happened, and then, you know. But I also, I'm very particular about what I share with people. So at the time, I think we waited until like 3 months before we even told anyone. The only person I told at first was my sister, and he told his sister when I first found out I was pregnant. Those were the only people that knew. And then I told family members and like close friends when I was maybe around like 3 or 4 months. And I actually didn't tell like the public. When I say the public, I mean like all of my Facebook friends and like Instagram friends. Um, I didn't make that announcement until like the next year in February. So I got pregnant around September, October. Actually, I think it was September. I got pregnant in September, and I didn't make like a public announcement until like February the next year. So yeah. So it is a couple things that I want to talk about because the first thing is I really didn't enjoy being pregnant, and I think that is I think we're expected to like enjoy being pregnant, and I think that's kind of like, you know how like you see stuff on movies and you kind of have like a false perception of it. I think pregnancy and giving birth is one of those things because um I don't know, like well, first of all, I didn't really know what to expect since it was my first time being pregnant and having a child. But I actually did not start enjoying my pregnancy until like the third trimester. I did experience morning sickness, and a lot of times people think morning sickness is just you vomiting, but morning sickness is also when you are nauseated. And y'all, let me tell y'all, being nauseated, I think, is worse than vomiting because when you vomit, you feel sick and then it comes up and then you feel better. But being nauseated, you feel sick like all day. And it had got to the point where, well, basically, I was trying stuff on my own, like ginger ale, saltine crackers, stuff like that, and just making sure that I ate. Y'all, let me tell y'all, being pregnant is not easy. I know some women have good pregnancies where they don't have any symptoms or anything like that, but being pregnant is not easy. So I actually so what I was saying was that I did have morning sickness like the first trimester and maybe halfway into the second trimester. Because I remember it was like 20 weeks and I was like, dang, I still kind of feel nauseated. But yeah, I was just trying little things in the beginning. And then it got to a point where I was like, let me call my doctor and see if there's anything to do. I wish I would have called earlier because it was really like weighing on me. And it was really like, it was just hard to like even focus because I always felt sick. But when I called my doctor, and this is a tip for you all that might be pregnant right now, or maybe you're not pregnant right now, but you plan on getting pregnant in the future. This is just a little tip. Make sure you speak to your doctor and ask them what can you take. Because my doctor gave me a list of medicines that I could take. So the list included like cold medicines. It included like pain medicines. It included like even medicines if I was congested or even if I was like stopped up, like constipated, because that does happen when you're pregnant. You actually, well, my doctor actually gave me a pill that actually had a stool softener within it. So So yeah, when I got that list, let me tell y'all, it was so much better. I still felt a little sick, but it was so much better to be able to take that medicine. I was taking Bonine. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but it's pronounced Bonine, and I got it from Walmart. It is over the counter, so it's not like you have to have a prescription or anything. Um, just looking at the time, but yeah, that is actually a motion sickness medicine, and it worked very well. Basically, you take one or two at the beginning of the day, and it works for like, well, on the package I think it says up to 24 hours, but I think mine works like 18 hours or something like that. But pretty much, it was a small little pill, and it dissolved in your mouth, and it just worked wonders. After a while, though, my doctor did prescribe a medicine for me that I don't even remember the name of it, but it was for specifically for morning sickness. Um, so yeah, but yes, it was hard being pregnant. The only time that I threw up was when I drunk. I hadn't eaten anything, and I drank like a full bottle of water in the morning time too. Like I think right a little bit right after I woke up. So, when you're pregnant, your stomach is like very, very sensitive because of all the hormones and everything that's going on with your body. So when I drank that whole bottle of water, it just like really messed up my stomach, and I end up, vomiting it back up. That's the only time I threw up. And I actually, during my pregnancy, I think I actually developed a phobia. I don't really have it now, but definitely when you're pregnant, you're more sensitive. You're more emotional, more moody. So I think that maybe, and this is actually common, but I think I actually developed like a phobia of like gagging and like vomiting because I was so scared. Sometimes I would like eat slow because I was so scared to start gagging, and I was so scared that I was going to start vomiting. Um, and let me tell you, the nauseated feeling, it was just really bad. Like I remember, or I guess, so when you become pregnant, your senses do heighten. I think, specifically with me, my taste buds actually changed. So I rarely ate any sweets. Anybody that knows me knows that I eat sweets like a lot. Like I have a bad sweet tooth. But when I was pregnant, I really didn't eat any sweets. I could only eat like sour stuff, like if it was sour. Well, actually, I didn't eat sweets, but every now and then, like I would eat like a Jolly Rancher or something like that to kind of help with the taste in my mouth. But yeah, like I could really only eat salty. Well, I really had a taste for only salty things. Like sweet stuff, I didn't have a taste for it. But I remember one time, I got up. My husband had made us hamburgers, and you know how you put like after you cook the hamburgers, you put them in like the plate on the paper towels. He did that, and I like almost gagged. Like just even looking at it and seeing like the grease on it and stuff, I just like gagged, and I was like, I can't eat it. You can eat it. You can have it, and I just like went and laid down. Um, and then I remember too, like so your eating habits and stuff does, well, at least for me it did change when I was pregnant, because I eat tuna now and I've eaten it before, but especially like in the beginning of my pregnancy, I remember I went and I opened a can of tuna because it's supposed to be healthy for you. When I went to eat it, I could taste like all the fish juice in it, and I was just like, just spitting out everything. So when I tell you like my taste buds had changed in my taste buds, it was like they had magnified. Oh Jesus, and my smell. So and sometimes I didn't want my husband around me. Um, he wasn't like stank anything. It was just like his cologne, like I could smell it, and just even like smelling like his natural scent. He wasn't stank again, but I was just like, I can't have you close to me. So I actually did not. And then the other thing that is normal, they say is normal when you're pregnant, is that you really don't have appetite, which is like pregnancy, y'all. It was just like very interesting for me, because I didn't have appetite, and I was like, I don't like this because I love to eat, But I didn't have an appetite. I didn't actually get my appetite back until maybe around the third trimester. And I knew that it was bad because I would eat like my food and I would want like my husband's food too. So yeah. Um and then even in the third trimester I would be like hungry like in the middle of the night. So yeah. Um it was just a very interesting experience for me, because the other thing that I had to learn was that because I didn't have an appetite, basically what was told to me and what I kind of had to do for myself was I had to eat whatever I could. So if it was a bag of chips, if I could stomach that, then that's what I ate. A lot of times I was only eating like fruit, yogurt, granola in the yogurt. Shoot, I forgot what else it was, but I would always eat that like in the mornings, to kind of like settle my stomach. Um, and then so they tell you when you're pregnant, especially if you have morning sickness, make sure you eat like every couple of hours. I think they say every 2 to 3 hours, which is interesting because I feel like it kind of prepared me for breastfeeding, because you have to breastfeed every 2 to 3 hours. But that's a side note. So basically that's what I try to do. Every 2 to 3 hours I try to make sure I had something in my stomach, which was hard because I also didn't have appetite. So I kind of had to force myself to eat. And then I had to find stuff like, what am I going to eat right now? And you have all this stuff going on. Then I still had to go to work and stuff. And then I was also working like an overnight shift. So especially like later on in my pregnancy, it was hard for me to sleep. And then I had to like go to work like that and stuff. So it was just really crazy. The other thing I want to talk about is that so at one point I felt like I was complaining. I felt like I was being a baby. I felt like I was just being a wimp, basically. um, but I came to the conclusion, or I came to the mindset that, hey, I am growing a human being in my stomach. So my encouragement to other women, and to maybe a man that's watching this and you have a wife or a girlfriend or a spouse or whatever, like, let her complain. Let her have her moments. Let her be moody. Like, do whatever you can to make it comfortable for her. Because I would, at first, like I said, I was complaining, but then I was just kind of like, well, I feel like I have a right to complain, because all of this is going on with my body, and I'm still having to go to work, and then I'm still having to be a wife, and I'm still having to like deal with my problems and stuff like that, which I'm gonna get into next as well. There's something else that was going on, but yeah, I hear and see a lot of, well, I guess I've heard like a lot of other women's stories, and we kind of all feel the same. Like, we're basically complaining, but it's not like in a bad way. We're just basically like complaining about what's going on with our bodies and stuff like that, and like how we feel. And I was actually always tired. Um, um, I was always tired. I was always sleepy, and I did find out at the end, more so towards the end of my pregnancy, that my iron level, I was like very, very anemic. I was anemic to the point where my midwife, she was like, I don't even see how you are functioning, because your iron levels are really, really low. And so as far as the complaining part, one thing that I kind of took from my experience is that, I guess, the attitude that I was receiving, and kind of like what I figured I had to do was, basically, if something was going on with me, I just had to deal with it. Like, honestly, because I'm pretty sure other women have heard this, but what was told to me was that pregnancy is not a disease. It's not like a medical condition, because I remember I was trying to get time off from work and stuff, and the doctor was just like, well, I can't sign anything really, because basically she was like, there's nothing really wrong with you. You're just pregnant. That's I'm not. That's not what she said verbatim, but that's kind of what I felt like, she was saying to me. And pretty much that's how I had to do it. Maybe something else could have helped, but my mindset and how I felt like I was treated was, not saying that people treated me bad, but I'm just saying, like, my experience, it was just like, because pregnancy was not like a, I'm sorry, they didn't say it was a disease. What was told to me was pregnancy is not a disability. But honestly, y'all, I feel like more should be done. I feel like women should have accommodations. And actually, I was trying to get accommodations at work as far as like my back and just making sure I had more breaks and stuff like that because of me being nauseated and me trying to like eat every 2 hours. It was like I always had to get up, and then I also had to use like the bathroom a lot. So yeah. So well, let me say this before I get into my other point. What I was saying earlier was that I really was not excited about being pregnant. I really didn't actually like being pregnant. I did not start enjoying my pregnancy until like the third trimester, when I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were just asking like, have you like started his room yet? Have you started decorating? And she was like, and I was just like, no, I haven't. And I was like, let me get to it. And then I just that's when I started thinking about my child more and it's not to say that I didn't want to have my son or anything. It was just the experience of being pregnant. I was miserable. So the other point that I wanted to talk about, and I was really debating on if I wanted to share this or not, but I am, because I don't think that this is talked about a lot. So during my pregnancy, you have a lot of changes that's going on with you. You're growing another person inside of you. And basically your baby is pretty much taking like all of your energy. They're taking all of the nutrients from you. So, and then your hormones are everywhere. You're moody and stuff like that. I didn't have a lot of experience with being like moody. But I did find myself a little bit more emotional, if that makes sense. And what I wanted to talk about was that, so I was already dealing with a little bit of anxiety before I got pregnant. But when I did get pregnant, my anxiety was amplified. And so small stuff that like I normally wouldn't like get anxious about. Sorry about that. I had to take a quick break, as you can see. But what I was saying was that so during my pregnancy, my anxiety was amplified. Like normal stuff that I was anxious about, stuff that I was anxious about when I was pregnant, it wouldn't bother me so much when I wasn't pregnant. So that's what I mean by it was amplified. And I actually my anxiety was exacerbated. I actually ended up having a panic attack while I was at work. And it was so interesting. It was so weird. I don't want to say weird, but it was so interesting because I'm trying to eat. It was so interesting because like I was saying before, I kind of had a fear of like vomiting and gagging. So even like hearing other people vomit, it just really like made me anxious, like really anxious for whatever reason. And the job that I worked at, it was really interesting because I wasn't the only one pregnant. It was a few women there that was pregnant. But when I would go into the bathroom, I would actually hear women like throwing up, and so it would like really, really get to me. And this last time that I heard it, the last time that I heard someone vomiting in the bathroom, it really set me off. Um, it really set me off. So when I left the bathroom, I think I actually didn't even use the bathroom. I had to leave like right away. And I remember me and my husband worked at the same job, and I remember I was telling my husband, we were sitting down, and I was like, I think I'm having a mini panic attack or something, because I just felt different, and I just kind of felt like I was trying to control my breathing, and I was just telling him like, at the time I just felt like really anxious. So I remember telling him like, I think I'm having a panic attack. And it just kind of felt like I was also about to start vomiting. So I said, let me call a counselor. So I have insurance and this is another tip. Check with your insurance as far as like therapy, because your insurance may be able to help you pay for it. My insurance, I just have to pay for co-payments, but basically, my insurance, I have EAP, right? With EAP, you can actually call and talk. You don't have to necessarily set up an appointment. Like if you need somebody to talk to right away, you can talk to a counselor. So that's what I did. I said, let me call EAP right now because I just feel so anxious right now and I think I'm having a panic attack. So I called and the lady, she was asking me questions. She was just saying, how you feeling? And she was like, I was telling her, I was like, I just feel sick and I just think I'm going to vomit. And she was like, okay, maybe you need to go outside. Sometimes changing your scenery will help. And, she was telling me to control my breathing. I also had learned about grounding techniques. So I was trying to do that. But the interesting thing was that when I got up, I was still on the phone with a counselor, and my husband was there as well. When I got up, we started walking to go leave, and all of a sudden, I just broke down and I started crying. This is my first time really sharing this with I guess publicly. Like my husband knows and certain family members know that I had a panic attack. But come on. But yeah, I just broke down and it wasn't even nothing specific that caused me to break down, but it was just so much going on with me, I think internally, that I just broke down and I started crying. And I remember me and my husband were standing in the hallway at work, and he was just trying to calm me down. And I need that boo boo. And we had to go into another room and just sit down. And I just cried for a little minute. And the counselor was still on the phone the whole time, and she was just suggesting that I need to go home, right? You're waving. Okay. So yeah, I ended up going home, and long story short, I actually did take off from work. So I basically never went back to work. I did try to, I don't know how long it was, but I took like a month or so off from work. Cause it was just like, I couldn't really concentrate. I would say it was hard for me to concentrate. And just dealing with that anxiety while I was at work. And then also, I was having to take like a lot of days off because I was feeling sick and I just couldn't do it. So yeah, that is pretty much my pregnancy story. Again, I do want to just say that, well, let me say this. I understand why some women say that they don't want to have any more kids or they don't want to get pregnant, because it is a scary thing. It's scary. I do remember when I had to get tested or have him tested. Why I had to get tested for certain genetic diseases. And it was I forgot the name of it, but some tests I was taking, they were saying, it's a possibility that he could have this disease, and so I had to get additional testing. So it was really scary. And even when I went for the ultrasound, it wasn't like how you see it in the movies where the mom just kind of like, she's just like so in love and stuff. For me, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have a baby for real. But that's my pregnancy story. I hope you all were informed about some things. I hope this helps someone, or even if you just don't know what to expect. Again, this is just my experience. I know some women, they have like perfect pregnancies. They don't have any symptoms or anything. So kudos to you. Because what I was saying before was that I understand why some women don't want to have any more kids, because it's a lot. And you basically put your life at risk. Like, you could, it's life or death sometimes when you have a child. And I, for one, I told my husband, I said that let's wait at least 2 years or more before we think about having a child, because it was a lot on me. And I didn't have like the worst pregnancy, but for me and for me and for it to be like my first child, not knowing what to expect and going through the things that I did, I just wanted some time to recuperate, and I just don't know if I want to go through that again. In the next video I'll be doing, I'll be talking about my birth story. So